Hi, I'm Michelle and thanks for following the Not So Salty Kitchen. For tonight's dinner, I am making a very popular Egyptian street food called Hawawshi. So it's basically an exceptional hamburger patty stuffed inside a pita pocket, which I've already cut the pita pockets in half, and then I will be stuffing them with the mixture. Whoops. So required for this recipe is olive oil and a lot of seasonings. I've got coriander, cumin, allspice, cardamom, cinnamon, garlic powder, and smoked paprika. I'll also be using some tomato paste. I'll chop or dice half a green bell pepper, half a white onion. I'm also including a jalapeno and I'm keeping the seeds for some kick. And then I'll also be using ground beef. Not sure if I pointed out, I'll also be using black pepper. And then I have parsley. You can also add mint if you'd like. I'm not going to on this round. Okay, so I'm going about this the hard way and I'm finally dicing the vegetables myself. So I've got the parsley, the green bell pepper, the jalapeno, the onion, gonna mix it all together and then mix it with the beef and the spices and the tomato paste. But what would be easier is if I just used my brand new food processor and then just kind of pulsed it into a paste. That would be so much easier, but I haven't used it yet and I'm a little intimidated, so I'm kind of doing it the hard way until I'm ready to use that. So the next step is I'm going to measure out all of my spices and the tomato paste. I had to write them down because there are just too many to remember. So 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon coriander, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 1 teaspoon allspice, 3/4 teaspoon cardamom, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a tablespoon of garlic powder, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So I've got my filling mixed together. It's the ground beef, the vegetables, the seasonings, the tomato paste, and I preheated my oven to 425. I've got a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the pita and I'm going to take the olive oil and then brush both sides of the pita with the olive oil, and then I'm going to fill the pita pocket with this mixture. So I'm going to fill the pocket, and yes, I'm using my hands. I was going to use a spoon, but I feel like this will just be a little easier. Then you're gonna kind of squish it together like this, and then you're going to take a brush, dip it in olive oil, and you're gonna wanna coat both sides of the pita. And then you're gonna wanna lay that on the parchment paper. Make sure it's tucked in there. And I used 4 pitas and then cut them in half and filled them. My Hawawshi is ready to go in the oven. Again, preheat at 425 and bake for about 15 minutes. So I'll also be serving this with a tahini sauce. So I purchased organic tahini. I'll use just a little bit of sea salt, half a cup of lemon juice, and then I'll add water to emulsify it. So I'll be whisking it together and then adding the water. So I just whisked together the tahini sauce. You want it to be a little drippy, so you can drizzle it or dip it. All right, so I just pulled these out of the oven and they smell amazing. And the pita is crispy. They look awesome. So here's my Hawawshi with a side of tahini sauce. So I've already tried it, and it's pretty awesome. Just really messy. Great spices, great flavor, a delicious dinner.